Welcome, everyone, to the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, where we share stories about education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. This week, we have our very own Rushton Hurley. Rushton was our club's first president from January of 2015 to June of 2016. This year, he has been our programs chair, and as you'll learn tonight, he loves hearing from the fascinating people we connect with around the world. In his non-Rotary time, he's the executive director of nextvista.org, an educational charity that works each year for the Service via Video project. He works with teachers, school leaders, and other professionals around the world on improving systems, fostering and sharing successes and possibilities with technology. And without further ado, here is the one and only Rushton Hurley.
Thanks, man. Andrew, Sviatko, Steven, totally cool to be on with you guys for this program on programs. When I talk about finding the fascinating, really what I'm talking about is part of the fun of what we do as Rotarians in the eClub. And so what I'm going to do is share a few ideas with you over the coming minutes, and I hope that you'll find these to be kind of fun and cool things for us as we go forward. So with that, let me say that when I think of fascinating, what I'm really thinking about is what we experience as Rotarians, right? So I'm Rushton Hurley, right? I'm always happy to be involved in Rotary stuff, and for some very specific reasons. First of all, being in Rotary is about very specific things, and I think that these are things that are the things that stand out for all of us to one degree or another when we think about what it means to be in the club. So one of those things is knowing that you are part of something greater. The whole sense that you have your talents, you have your resources, you want to make a difference, but you know that if you are joining others who feel the same way and pooling those talents and resources and energy, you can make some great things happen. Now, acting to make a difference means that you're doing this in a way that is not simply passive. It's not just writing a check or something like this. You're really in that space where you say, I want to make things happen. I want to make a difference in people's lives. I want to be able to look back on my life, for the last X years or whatever, and say, I've spent that time well. And so one of the reasons we're in Rotary is because we have that feeling that by being a part of this organization, we can make great things happen for others. Additionally, I believe that people are in Rotary because they want to be inspired. Now being inspired is something that can happen, on a single occasion where you're like, oh, wow, that really meant a lot to me. But I see inspiration as something that when it happens regularly really allows us to explore who we are at another level. We want to be able to be those people that we're capable of being. And when we hear messages from interesting people all over the world, we're in that space of hopefully getting ideas that will allow us to be those people we want to be, right? We want to be, kind of proud of. We want to look and feel that our time is well spent, that kind of thing. So this is very much about each of us individually. This is about you. What does it mean to be a part of the Rotary eClub the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, for example? When you think about your role in inspiration, we're going to talk about this in some detail, but the idea is not simply that you are seeing programs, but that you can actually be part of finding programs as well. That these two things go hand in hand in some really interesting ways. So when you think about these as perks, these are perks for being in the club. You get to see great things. You get to help make great things happen. So when I talk about finding the fascinating, I want to talk about the kind of the levels of participating in this. At one level, the easiest, it would just be notice the things that are going on around you. And we all notice what's going on around us. But what I'm saying here is that when you hear something interesting, when you go to an organization's activity and you think, wow, this is really cool stuff. When you watch a video online and you think that's really interesting, you are someone who can stop and say, hey, maybe this is someone we should hear from. I kind of think that that this is that kind of cool, easy way to get yourself going in this space, where you say, I just saw this cool thing. I am going to send this link to one of our folks, send this name, send this email address, and that allows those of us on the programs committee to be able to just turn around and say, hey, one of our members suggested you as someone who might be a person who might share a message with our audience of members and guests from around the world. And so the first thing you can do to help us find fascinating for the club is just to notice what's going on and to think in terms of, hey, that could be a great program for our club. The next thing is to actually do the connecting. Now, you can do that at the level I described a minute ago, which is that piece of saying, okay, hey, here's this name and this address. Why don't you shoot an email to this person and see if that person might be up for it? But you can also be that person who does it. You can be someone who says, hey, I really enjoyed your message in this video, or I really enjoyed the talk that you just gave, or I'm really enjoying what you're saying about the work you do. I would like to introduce you to someone on our programs committee. Would you be up for exploring that possibility? And that active connection can be kind of that next step up. It's also easy, so we've gone from easiest to next easiest, that kind of thing. But that's something that every one of our members can do. You can say, okay, yeah, I am empowered to go to people and say, I'm really fascinated by what you're doing. I would love for you to look at the possibility of recording a program and speaking to our club. And when you say the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley has a certain cachet to it, it carries a lot of weight for a lot of people. Now, you can also take part. You can be someone who's involved in what happens behind the scenes, so that we get all these things set up. I'm going to describe a little bit of that to you as we go along, with the idea that if you are in this club, if you are getting inspired on a regular basis from all of these cool speakers we connect with, you might want to get involved as part of like your own service to help us make these things happen. And so I will explain this as we go. But core piece being this: when we think about being a part of a club and being a part of this club, where we have this ability to reach out to anyone, if you're not taking advantage of like the opportunity to get inspired and to be part of this, you don't want to make that happen, right? So what are the steps? Like, here are the steps to getting involved in when we're thinking about getting someone in and how this all works. First, the first thing we do whenever we come into contact with someone is we ask them to fill out a form. So we let them know a little bit about what we do, and we want them to give us some information. It's simple information that we're asking for. It's not something that takes more than a few minutes really, but your name, your contact info. We ask for the name of the program. We ask for a paragraph or two bio about the speaker, a paragraph or two description of the program, so that we can use that as a part of what we do to promote the program and the recording with our club. So that's one of the very first pieces once we know someone is interested. The next thing is to get them involved in Zoom. So here's my cheesy smile, doing a little screenshot of Zoom right there. But this tool that we use for our recording, zoom.us, is a good one for video conferencing, and it allows us to connect and talk through things and then click record and get things done, all of this kind of stuff. And we want to make sure that our speakers are comfortable with this tool, zoom.us. And that means sometimes, for example, that we will talk to somebody maybe a week or two before we're going to do the recording, just to say, hey, let's connect on Zoom. Just make sure everything's doing like it should. Maybe help them try out the screen sharing, things like that. So getting them comfortable with the technology is like a next piece. A third piece that we often will do at the same time we're making sure they're good with Zoom is making sure that they have a good sense of the expectations and the audience. Who are these people that are going to watch this program that we're recording? And so we describe, the members of the club, kind of what kinds of things tend to interest us, what the expectations are for the presentation, for example, keeping it, kind of in the right time frame. It's very easy for a program that goes too long to kind of lose everybody's interest. So we try to help people out in that regard. Additionally, we want them to know that this is kind of a cool opportunity for just creating a little PR nugget for your organization or your work or something like that. So you can imagine when someone who is working with a cool nonprofit has the chance to record a presentation saying what it is they do and how people can get involved and things like this, to have that video out there can be really helpful for the nonprofit. You think about the program we had a few weeks ago with B'nai Tadzo, telling us about ways nonprofits can get their messages out. This is a service we do. We essentially give people the opportunity to make a pitch about why people should care about about their organization, what kinds of activities, service efforts they do, things like that. And then finally, just getting a sense of timing. Okay, so timing in the sense of the recording. When are we going to do that recording? We get that all set up. Got to make sure somebody who's willing to say hello, welcome to the eClub of Silicon Valley is available to be the host for the meeting, that kind of thing. But also just that they're doing things like carrying a little timer so that they know they're keeping in that 12 to 15 minute presentation mark that we think is so important. Okay, so when you think about these pieces, what we're doing is we're getting this information together. We're making sure that we get that out there, that we are getting this into our calendar. You've seen our calendar in our meetings, which says when the upcoming recordings are. There's a message that tends to go out, a day or two, maybe sometimes a little earlier, for people just to know about upcoming recordings. And then finally, another role that you can play, which is that you can take the opportunity to invite other people to join in. So if you know someone who has a real heart for service and who's interested in the possibility of being in a Rotary club or something like that, or just wants to know more about our club, and that we've got a good recording coming up, you can say, hey, would you like to join us for the recording? And then, they'll say, well, what's that? You say, well, we're going to talk to this interesting person. You have a chance to ask questions, all that kind of thing. So this is an opportunity that we have. You can reach out to others and say, hey, why don't you join in for this? Or once it's the program, you can say, hey, here's this great program. Give it a look, see if it interests you. Sharing the cool messages we get with others is something I feel we should do, because we're quite fortunate that we have these kinds of opportunities to hear from so many cool people. All right. So when we do the recording, several different things that you need to know. One is that if you're connecting for one of these recordings, it is always best to get in there, just a few minutes ahead of time. Gives you a chance. We all get a chance to talk to each other a bit, and then we start the recording, like I mentioned earlier. But after the recording finishes, typically we'll continue talking. So maybe we've got questions that came up a little farther along the way. Maybe there was some question that we just didn't get to. Stuff like this. And that further opportunity to talk kind of when we're not recording can be really cool and interesting time as well. That's something that's a lot of fun. Get involved. Join in these recordings so you can take part in that. This is also an opportunity for us to think in terms of who it is that we are as we ask people to do these things. One of the important things to know about what it means to be finding programs for our club is that you're representing our club and Rotary. So don't think it needs to be said, but everybody should know that when what we do is we reach out to someone and say, hey, we're interested in the possibility, exploring the possibility of you speaking to our Rotary Club, you are then representing the club at that point. And that's something that, we're confident everybody can do well, but of course it's just something that, kind of needs to be thought through, because we're always in that space of, what does it mean to be representing a group? What does it mean to say that, that there's a group that's interested in a message? So always think in terms of, who you are as you present yourself and as you talk to people about the possibilities of speaking to our club. So you may have some questions about these kinds of things. You're always welcome to add those questions to our discuss section section at the bottom of the recording. We will be talking about some more of these things over the coming minutes, but reach out at any point. I certainly want everyone to know that if you are in the eClub of Silicon Valley, we would love to have you actively involved in finding the people who speak to us and to share all of these totally cool messages that we get. Anytime you want to shoot a note to whoever is in charge of the programs committee, you can always do so via the programs@siliconvalleyrotary.com forwarding address. So anyone, member or guest who has an idea for us, feel free to send an email to that address and you'll get to hear from us. So with that, I'd like to say that it is awfully fun talking about these things because we get so many cool programs along the way, and it's a pleasure to make the pitch to all of our members to get more involved as a part of what we do with our meetings and programs.
Thank you so much for your presentation. That was awesome. So I'll kick off the Q&A session, but Sviatko, Stephen, I'll give you a turn in a minute to ask any questions or comments you might have. First off, Rushton, massive thank you for being our program's chair this past year, and we've seen so many amazing stories that you found for us. What was your favorite program from the club?
So let's see. When I think about the programs that we've had, my favorite is one that we had a couple of years ago from a guy in Wisconsin who was talking about a project he started called the Memory Project, and that one is so special to me that I can talk about it at a level that actually makes me get choked up, right? And for any of our members or guests who don't know what that one was about, here's this guy. He went down to South America to volunteer as a part of a team doing some stuff at an orphanage down there, and he learns what anyone who has ever worked with orphans figures out, which is that they have no personal history, right? These are not people who are walking around with baby pictures, and so this understanding of kind of who they are and what they experience is something that really was kind of on his heart, right? And he comes back to the United States. He's like, what can I do? What can I do? And he ends up starting this organization that connects with orphanages in different parts of the world. And someone at the orphanage will send digital pictures of all of the children to his organization. He then sends those out to high school art programs in North America. And high school artists will paint portraits of the children. Those paintings go back to his organization and are then sent to the orphanages. And to see the pictures of these kids receiving like a painting of themselves for the first time, oh my God. I mean, that's just as cool as it could possibly be. And that's the kind of thing that for me is so inspiring about what we do, trying to find people who have something to share, questions to ask, hopes, that they're trying to pull together. I find that kind of stuff inspiring. I should ask, maybe, by the way, all of you guys, what programs stand out for you? You don't have to recap it or anything, but what are those things? Stephen.
Yeah, so the one that we had a few weeks ago, Project Hired, that actually really stood out to me just because I volunteered my time at a credit union to give people financial advice at no charge and everything like that for a lot of them do have disabilities, and some of them end up being homeless people. And then you have a conversation with some of these guys and they tell you their story, and a lot of it is not because they just couldn't find work, and sometimes it could be a mental disability. But I really like what Project Hired is doing because they're trying to reach out to these people, teach them the necessary skills to be able to find jobs. So that really meant a lot.
That's cool. It's exciting to hear that people are taking something that we all value and to put a system to it so that you think, wow, that can really impact so many more people as a function.
Yeah, definitely. I think we don't realize how many people are actually disabled. It's like, I think the statistic was like 1 in 5.
Yeah. And we had that speaker recently who talked about, we will all age into a disability at some point.
Yeah.
That's one of those lines that really stuck out for me from a recent program as well. Andrew, how about you? What's a program that kind of stands out for you?
Mine was a couple years back too. It was it was a company called Solite that had this product called Solar Plus or Solar Puff. Mm-hmm. And it was this like really cool like origami box made of this sort of conductive plastic, all recycled materials. Even the solar piece was sustainably made, and it's basically this like solar light that was really cheap to manufacture and folds up and packs really easily, and it was just such a cool innovative idea. It was just, I don't know, it's a part of that little tagline for our club, which is the whole like education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. It was kind of a weird like mix of innovation and entrepreneurship that was really wonderful.
Yeah, the woman who spoke to us about that too. I mean, was so kind of humble and unassuming, and she had these kind of amazing ideas, and she'd made these things happen. And you're like, man, that's just so cool. I remember, how she talked about how after the earthquake in Nepal, like one or two people, connected to them had immediately like gone in with these things because they needed them. They needed them. These solar lights that had like both that could both give light, but also be kind of beacons if you were in distress as well, because you could, to it and it would flash. And just like, so many cool, innovative ideas. Yeah. Awesome stuff. Sviatko, how about you? What's the program that stands out for you?
Yeah, we've actually had so many, you guys. Like now just listening, only 4 of us on the call going through our favorites. It's pretty cool. Like, it's nice. So the one that stands out for me actually is one that we had about maybe 6 months ago or so. It was a young woman who was talking about her lifestyle and living in a tiny house in the mountains of Wyoming. And I thought that was kind of cool. And especially at that time, I was able to connect to that quite a lot because I had been reading a lot about minimalism and focusing on the essentials in your life and all this. And this program came at the right time for me. So I think in addition to just the opportunity to hear from cool speakers about amazing things that they do, also sometimes the timing is right with something that's important to you or that is happening to you in your life. So that was one that stood out for me. I thought it was really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I think sometimes we connect different stories across programs as well. So you think of that program, then you think of the woman in New Mexico who had decided to live off the grid. That program that we had, where she was talking about what that meant and how they kind of saw their lives given the choices they'd made. I remember the guy in Texas who would find people who had no jobs essentially and teach them building skills, but these crazy houses that they would build out of totally recycled materials, and just very, very artsy, and individual. I mean, it was amazing stuff. And he was like, yep, give them these skills and push them out the door, get them into higher paying jobs. Let's get somebody else in. And I just thought, that's somebody that, I think I can learn from. Every time I watch a story like that, it's just totally good stuff. Andrew, I'll hand that back to you.
I actually have another question. So has regularly reaching out to all of these people doing all of these really awesome things, has that helped you kind of build new relationships or maybe even deepen existing ones?
That's a great question. I mean, for one, knowing that you can reach out to anybody, I mean, just having license to do so is empowering in an interesting personal way, right? I don't feel that there is anybody that is so important or whatever that I can't say, hello, I'm a member of the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, and we're always looking for really fascinating stories to share with people who are inspired to make their communities better. And could we talk about the possibility of you presenting to us? And that just we can all do that, right? And at first that sounds a little odd, but we really do have the license to do that. I mean, there is the responsibility as well, like I talked about at the end. We're representing the club, we're representing Rotary when we say these kinds of things. But I think that helping people share messages is a service that we do. So we serve our members because we're trying to inspire each other, and we serve these people who are out there working hard to make a difference by helping them get their message out in an important way. So yeah, I mean, I think it gives me another level of confidence about how I think about communicating with people, because I've had this experience of reaching out so many times to people to say, hey, we'd love to hear from you in our club.
Yeah, it definitely only takes a few times to really break that barrier of like, oh yeah, like who am I to contact this person that's doing amazing things?
Right.
And yeah, we can all do it. I mean, it's power of technology and everything.
Rushton, kind of related on that, are there uh, there are materials and like sample emails and stuff like that that could be shared with members who are interested in reaching out, right? So they don't
Absolutely.
have,
Yeah.
you don't have to actually, think up of, a 2-paragraph email that you're going to be sending to someone that you've never met, inviting them to present to us. There's materials that are available.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's and kudos to President Stephen. I mean, like when he came in, at the beginning of this year, he was like, we need to systematize things. And so a lot of good work got done to systematize pieces of what we do with meetings and programs. And so yeah, like I have 2 canned responses that that I've got going on. I've shared with, and I have in our document that our committee shares, things like that. We point them. We have the tiny URL for the speaker form, that I had in the program. But yeah, all of that is stuff that anybody who says, no, I want to get more involved, we're ready to help out on that front. Okay, under these circumstances, do this, if that makes sense, because you're always at a certain level, trying to make sure that what you do is something that fits your circumstances. It's got to fit, you as a person. It's got to fit the circumstances of how you became connected with this person that you're approaching, to speak to us, whatever it is. I mean, I remember having a guy, the teen whisperer, right? The guy that we interviewed about the work he had done with troubled teens. And when I contacted him about speaking to us, he said, I don't want to do a presentation, but I'll do an interview. We're like, all right, okay, cool. So that just put me, kind of into a space where what I had to do was say, okay, I need to come up with a set of questions and, put a few together and send them. I said, these look good. He said, sure. I was like, all right, good. So yeah, there's no like there's no necessity, I should say, to following the program format we always do, which is 12 to 15 minutes presentation, 10 to 12 minutes of Q&A. But I mean, a good thing for us to do is to figure out how to experiment and innovate with our own systems. But yeah, so you can either come in and try it the way we've been trying it, or begin saying, hey, what if we tried it this way? There's always room to innovate.
I want to add, I don't think people realize how much work Rushton put into, I mean, sure, like the system and everything, yeah, but Rushton was really the one that actually came and made this system possible. So I do want to thank Rushton for that. And again, I also want to thank like Sviatko and Andrew. You guys created that meeting content log and just made everything a little easier. So it's a work in progress. Everything's been working really well, but you guys are the superstars, not me. I didn't do anything.
Well, while we're passing out kudos, by the way, there are several members of our club who've been really good at reaching out and finding folks who can speak to us. Roger Plested, who is going to be our program chair for 2018-19. He's done a great job of identifying some people that yielded some great programs, including that tiny houses one. Catherine A, you have done a fantastic job of finding all sorts of folks who have cool stories to share and getting good info to us, for that. And, several of those have become programs, and that's awesome. Brett and Nate and Ange and just so many people. I remember when I sat down with Mitty, in 2014, as we were planning what this club could be, and he was like, this needs to be done via video. And I wasn't entirely sure that we were going to be able to get, kind of a video for every week. But he's like, oh, no, like that's what I feel like, and so I was like, all right, let's see what we can do. And, sure enough, here we are. And, almost 3.5 years, which is like 175 weeks or so, and we've had a lot of good programs along the way. It's kind of fun.
Do we have a record somewhere of, the countries that our speakers come from or they do work? And that'd be kind of cool to see it in the world.
Like a little map or something like that.
Yeah. It's all continents we've hit so far.
We do. I know we have like all of the info from through June of 2016. So the first like 17, 18 months or so of the club, we've got that where it was like speaker, topic and blah, blah, and link and all of those kinds of things. And of course, for all of our members and guests, you can always go back into the archives of our meetings. You go to the top of our club page and just say attend meeting, one of the options is archived meetings. And so you can find everything that we've put up before.
I really want to make that map now.
Andrew.
That sounds amazing.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I mean, I think that's one of the coolest things, right? Like we can actually, I mean, because of the nature of the way our club operates and the way we do meetings, we actually have a global reach, and we can have speakers from anywhere in the world, really. And time zones are, not an issue. We've made it work with people in completely opposite time zones. So it's very, very cool.
And that actually also reminds me of the partnership piece between our club and other clubs, right? Let's say that you're a guest and you're in a Rotary club that's in a small town somewhere, and getting a program each week is really hard because you're trying to bring someone physically in to give a program. We're very happy for you to take the programs that we've put together and to show them in your club. I mean, it's for a Rotary audience. That's a service that we feel we do for the rest of Rotary. We and similar online clubs do the same kind of thing. Other land-based Terra clubs have recorded their programs and made those available as well. But it doesn't have to stop there. At a certain point, somebody who visits our club from time to time, just to keep up their 100% attendance, because that's easy to do with an eClub, may say, hey, we just had this great program at our club. I'm going to talk to that person about that person talking with the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley, because that would get that message out, into the wider Rotary world, which is great. And we love being a vehicle for that kind of thing.
Awesome.
Well, thank you everyone for attending this meeting. Members, please remember to sign in and leave a comment or question in the discus below. Guests, please do feel free to do the same and let us know what you think of our meeting. Rushton, any last words you'd like to send us off with?
Absolutely. So to our members, right, get involved. Be part of the fun of connecting with all of these fascinating people that are out there. Take seriously that opportunity that we have every week to be inspired by people who are doing all sorts of great things to help others. You watch the news and it's just kind of soul destroying, but you come to our meetings and hear from some of these people, and it can really give you kind of energy and hope that you wouldn't have otherwise. So get involved. Those of you who are visiting us, help us out with this stuff. We're happy to connect with you and make that stuff happen. You don't have to leave your own club to do it. No problem at all. So thanks for taking part, and thanks for watching this program.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.